When the amazing McLaren 675 LT you'll have seen in a previous video went back to our friend Pete, aka Too Many Cars, he asked if we'd like to replace it with his BMW M2. Now to most people, that might seem like quite the downgrade, but surely there's a reason he keeps it in his collection. And if anything, I was even more excited to get my hands on that than the McLaren. Call me crazy, but more than anything I've always had a thing for big, powerful engines in small, rear-wheel drive cars. It's barely any longer than a family hatchback, but the wide track and flared arches give it such a great stance. It just looks naughty, especially with the M Performance carbon kit on this car. So, why do we love the M2 so much when we get to drive all sorts of more exotic machinery? Shall we go and find out? So enthusiasts have been waiting for this car for a long time to replace what was already the iconic 1M, and it did not disappoint. Just like the 1M, its small size makes it usable on small English B roads like this. I mean, we drive so many modern cars where your left wheel's in the hedge and your right wheel's still on the cat size. Combine the small size with a brilliant rear-wheel drive chassis and a silky smooth turbocharged straight six, you've got a winning formula. You're starting to see why I like this car so much. It has 365 horsepower, 465 newton meters, all the way from 1500 RPM, so the power band's so usable as well. Like fourth gear here, it really moves even at 3000 revs. The suspension components have been upgraded over the M235i. It has a standard limited slip diff that car was crying out for. And it has some much needed beefier brakes as well. So while the 235 and 240 were very quick cars in a straight line, this really hangs together a lot more when you start to push it hard, whether that's on the road or a track. One thing we haven't spoken about yet is this in the middle. Most people spec the M2 with a 7-speed DCT box. This one is a 6-speed manual, so does it suit it? It does, yeah. Because it's a small, nimble, fun little car, it does actually suit being manual. I often think that modern turbocharged engines work better with a DCT, and that's probably the case here as well. And if you're in hooligan mode, the DCT is the one to go for because you can just pull another gear and it'll keep lighting up. But there's no denying it is a really fun car with a manual. It's not a manual box to Porsche standards, but it's still fun to row gears yourself. One of the points BMW M cars often get criticised on the brakes. They feel pretty good on the road, to be honest. They're a little sharp for my liking. I'd like a bit of a longer pedal so you can modulate them easier, because I often find myself going a bit like that. But it's better than some of the old M cars like our M3 used to be, where you just think, where are the brakes? Now, as so many cars are downsizing to 4 cylinders, this 3.6 is just so nice. I'm sure you can hear it. This one has the switchable carbon-tipped M Performance exhaust, and you've got to have that. They sound nice without, but it really finishes it off. And the sound means that even if you're just cruising through town with the windows down, it's such an exciting thing to drive. And the noise when you lift off, the overrun and the pops, it shows that it doesn't have to be a supercar to be fun. Just give me a small car like this, rear wheel drive, big engine and some naughty noises, and I'm happy. I'm not saying the M2 is a supercar, but compared to most modern cars and even some supercars, it's a breath of fresh air, especially with the M Performance exhaust. No downsizing, no chasing lap times or efficiency, no distancing the driver from the action. Critics might moan that it doesn't have a proper M engine, but when you get it out on the road, I challenge you to care. And to be honest, it sounds better than any M engine in the current lineup. The M2 involves you as a driver, with that definitive straight six powering the rear wheels and a cloud of smoke and obnoxious noises. It's quick, don't get me wrong, but it's not about how fast you're going, it's all about the smile on your face. And half the time, I was laughing out loud. Honestly, I want one. And if you're not convinced enough by that, take Pete, a guy who owns some of the best supercars in the world. When I asked if he'd sell it, the answer was never.